Okay, so hello everyone once more. So we'll be going through leveraging communities as a tool to improve engagement. Let me start this. So one of the easiest things I learned growing up was learning from others is the easiest way to gain new understanding. And for me, it was a case of one of my favorite cartoons. It's a story about a general, General Iroh, who was a firebender. And in the world where he lived, in the alternate universe where the story was told, firebenders they ruled the world. And so one of the things they had done was to eliminate people from different nations, the airbender nation, waterbender nation, earthbenders, and then the normal folks. And General Iroh was a peaceful man at heart, and he felt there was so much to learn from others without having to put them under one's thumb. And so he would watch the waterbenders and watch how they practice their waterbending. And as a firebender, he had reached the heights of firebending. He had learned all there was to learn about firebending. And firebending, one of the most intricate skills was to bend lightning. And so someone would shoot it to you and it would come so fast, you couldn't jump out of the way and you would either just get burnt, fried, or you would cease to exist. But in watching waterbenders, more or less his nemesis or his enemies, like based on he bends water, he bends fire, they bend water, so like polar opposites. Watching them, he saw how they would channel their energies, like move it from when instead of attacking people instead of using their energies to attack, they'll use it to whatever you would send to them, they would manipulate that and then share back to you. And so he saw that as a way to better improve his firebending. And so that helped him learn a new skill, even after reaching the height of firebending, lightning redirection. And this is something he learns from people who the rest of his colleagues, other firebenders, are more or less looked down on and put under, felt like they didn't exist. But he felt he could learn something more from them. And so we'll be looking at, to help us see what we can learn as community managers, as either you own a learning community or a non-learning community. We'll be looking at certain learning communities. Like I said, the talk is leveraging learning communities as a tool to improve engagement. So we'll be looking at two learning communities. One is Alt MBA. I really love what they're doing. They make alternative MBA. It's a training program started by Seth Godin, but now fully running on its own as its own program. And another one, peerlearning.is. So peer learning was started by the Source Institute. They went around, interviewed. They've done a lot of learning programs for universities, corporations, and then they created this site, peerlearning.is, to share all they've learned. And also there's a community behind it. And each of these platforms have a mix of different tools they use, but behind them all, there's a set of models or set of steps or tools there's a set of processes. Yeah, that's the word. Processes that they've applied that sort of makes engagement easy for them. And I think it's something I can bring out and share and we can learn from. These three characteristics or steps or models that I have seen, and they have also, after doing interviews with them, they've also shared that are key to what they have been able to leverage on are agency, responsiveness, and connectivity. So making it easy for any of the members to be self-directed as agency, easily respond to whatever queries members might have, and then connectivity, making it easy for members to connect from between each other. Okay, so let's see. So, and it's interesting how, give me a second. For some reason, I can't see my speaker notes here, so I have to look to my phone. Yes. So I want to start with Alt MBA and how And the next two slides will share and talk a bit on how Alt MBA sort of works, how the steps, the experiences behind their members, and how members have come in, learned, and they've sort of achieved a course completion of about 97%. So what that means is for every 10 individuals who sign up, at least 8 to 9 people start the course and finish it. And after running learning programs myself, being in learning programs on platforms like EDX, Coursera, there are a lot of courses I've started and I haven't finished. And you find that generally the metric being thrown around, or the number being thrown around for course completions, online courses, and engagement within these communities is always less than 10%. And you find Alt MBA boasting a 97%. So how are they doing it? The next two slides will share a bit of insight to it. And one key thing is this big bold text here: opportunities to connect and learn, build willingness and self-direction. So when I was talking to the provost who runs Alt MBA, a friend, one of the stories she shared was how members so when you join an Alt MBA program, you sign up, you from week to week to week, you're put into different groups. So you start with group 0 in the first week, group 1, group 2, until the end of the program, and you move on. And then one thing, when they were asking members that have completed the courses, one thing they kept hearing from each member to each member is that, hey, I still meet up with my group members from week 1. And some of these members had gone through these courses 4 years ago. And so 4 years after, they're still meeting with members who they met in Alt MBA. Imagine if that was happening within your community, where people who come in are still engaging outside your community and within the community years after they had met up. For me, that's engagement. That I don't even know the qualifying term to use, but that's engagement on another level. Connections build relationships, which build strong communities. And it's because of the connections that they formed within the Alt MBA communities that it sort of makes it easy for them to know that this is a community I should join. This is something I should add. Because you find another key point that I learned from my research, talking to the provost, talking to members who had gone through Alt MBA, is that they don't join the classes or they don't come into the communities because it's a community. Let me go to the community to learn or get whatever value I signed up for. It's more of a case of I'm going there to connect with somebody. And so it sort of goes back to those the three characteristics I shared earlier, and especially the connectivity. And the connectivity sort of happens because it's a mix of two. The way the platform works is a mix of 3 different tools. There is a Slack for quick one-to-one connection, quick one-to-one discussions, and then for team leads to follow up with the members and find out what's happening and how it's going. They also use Discourse I work at Discourse. They also use Discourse to host their lessons, share long-form communications, get feedback from students on what is happening and how what feedbacks they have on what lessons they've gone, what questions they have to answer. And you find that on each of these platforms, and then Zoom for video calls and screen shares and whatever they need to do that requires more physical or more intimate connections. I would say intimate because then you sort of feel like you're connected to the individual. So because of that, this combination of tools and the way they use it, connections grow. And those connections sort of makes it easy for strong communities to build. And if you look at CMX blog, if you go through the blog and try to figure out how do you start your community and all the articles there, one of the key things you find that David always mentions is try to run events that allow one-to-one connections, that build one-to-one connections. And so you find when you can bring that and put that within your community, even without the tools that you build, it sort of makes it easy for your community to thrive years after. So how do they do it? Now I've talked about connectivity, I've talked about responsiveness, I've talked about agency being self-direction. How do they improve each of these things? Connectivity, responsiveness, agency. So from my research, looking at Alt MBA, looking at peer learning, looking at a whole lot of other learning communities, we found that small groups sort of increase responsiveness. It also increases the opportunity for people to connect. So here in Nigeria, where I stay, there's a group called Andela. There's a company called Andela, and they run training programs for individuals who want to improve their developer skills. They want to become better developers, better designers, so they could work and increase their earning power. And so you find they want to train people and they want to train them at scale. And even when they run these programs, they found the easiest way to pass knowledge and also increase feedback from their learners is to run groups of 5, maximum of 5, with one trainer within those small groups of 5. When they would normally run classes of way more than of 10, 20, they found people would drop off, people wouldn't be engaged, people wouldn't be giving good feedback, assignments wouldn't be completed on time. But when they reduced those groups into smaller portions, it started to peak. And if you want to take that to your community, one way would be to leverage on groups or channels. Group channels would be if you're using Slack, or if your community platform allows you to create subgroups or smaller groups. And it's sort of based on the different values that each of the members are coming to join, you split people into the small groups and allow response and make it easier for people to sort of help each other and support each other. Another one, and one of the other things they use, like I said, Zoom, Slack, Discourse, tools of the trade. Yeah, I think I'm almost nearing the end. Yes. So I think, let me see. I think that's more or less about it. Just going to go back to see if I missed anything. Yeah, agency, responsiveness, create connectivity. And so that sort of makes it easy. And that sort of makes it easy for you to sort of start up your community, tweak it in a bit, learn from each of these steps. How can I improve agency? How can I improve the response? How can I improve self-direction, agency? How can I improve the responsiveness of my community? How can I improve the opportunities for people to connect? I know I've spoken a lot, or I've spoken too little. I really don't know which, but I'll just stop at this point and let me see if there is any questions. So I'm done.
Oh, does anyone here have any questions?
Still can't hear.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Let me see.
Oh, no. It's okay. I'll just sing. We can hear you. Can anyone hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. This is Jesus.
That means we have some time for Q&A. Yes, okay. Will said he can hear us, so that's great. Thanks, Will. And Joshua, your team's here. We can hear everybody. Does anyone have any questions? We can definitely jump into that if you have any questions right now. Let me look up here. Nope. All right. What are you talking over there? We hear that. Can you hear me?
How large a group? How large of a group? I think I'll leave that for you, Anne, to read out.
Yeah, no, please. That's what I'm here for. All right. Ilona asked, how large of a group do you feel is too large for learning communities?
Interesting. So, looking through all the feedback I got, I would say the highest number within your community can be as large, but then the smaller groups within would need to be not more than 12, because I think from 12, concentration and ability to respond to each of the members drops significantly. I find that some people even try to do less than 12. Like I shared, Andela does 5. For Alt MBA, they do groups of 20, but with 2 team leads. So each team lead takes 10. But the maximum I have seen out of all the research I've done is 12. Then you have a lead. And even within that group of 12, you find that the team lead still splits them into smaller groups of 4. So even if you try to make your community really large, you try to always bring it down to smaller groups, because within those groups, it's easy to respond. It's easy for members to feel that willingness to connect. And it's also easy for them to increase motivation also grows, because then you can actually see what your peers are doing and you don't get lost in the sea of so many people.
Exactly. No, that's a really great point. So you're saying start with like a larger group, kind of break it out, and then that's where like the magic actually happens. I love that word, magic. I said that in the last It's all about magic. That's what I truly believe.
Yeah, I agree.
So the next question's from Andrea. Hi, Andrea. She was on our stage doing a workshop yesterday. Okay. Do you know what the completion rate for peer learning was? Is it the same as Alt MBA? That's part 1. Okay. Part 2 is, and if the completion rate between the 2 platforms are different, why do you think that is?
So unfortunately, I couldn't really do a deep dive with the guy behind peer learning. A friend of mine, he got down with COVID, and so we couldn't hold our call. But then his research is publicly available. If you go on peerlearning.is, what he tried to do there was, I think he has run over 20 different learning programs, multiple ones, lean camps in various cities in Europe, Bulgaria. I hope so too. I hope he recovers soon. I can see what Andrea said. So what he tried to do was distill all his learnings and put them into bring out the mental models that he applied and that he had learned from these different, and also share examples. So if you go to peerlearning.is, you could either sign up for a short course. Basically what the short course is all the articles there, they send them to you or within a specific frequency, or you just read through all the articles and you see the explanations for the different programs and where you start to see where the course completion rate starts to drop and what they did to improve it. You find that there were a whole lot of different learning programs. There were the ones for farmers in faraway places like I think Thailand or so. There were the ones for engineers in Shell, and some of them were directly done by or managed by him. Others were through programs he had worked with or partnered on.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Well, everyone, that wraps up our session. Thank you so much for joining us today. So thrilled to be here on our stage at CMX. If anyone has any other questions, you guys can connect later. But for now, we're going to say goodbye here and check out the other talks, the other sessions. We've got some networking going on. Thank you all so much, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.